issue. Chinese for Affirmative Action is one of many organizations who is in support of this ordinance. I think it affects all of us in different ways, and if I might just share a little bit of a personal story as well. When I started at CA, I spent a lot of time talking with new immigrants and asking people in the Chinese and Chinatown community why they came to the United States. And they gave a whole number of reasons. But one of the reasons that was often said is they came for freedom. And I think for many of us who are born here in the United States, that's something we take for granted. And it's something that we can't take for granted. It's something we have to fight for. I've had members of my family detained by the U.S. government. I've had members of my family detained by the Chinese government. I think when that happens, you understand how awesome and terrible and overwhelming the power of any state can be over the freedom and the humanity of individuals. I served briefly on the San Francisco Police Commission. And one thing that I've come to understand is that we need to understand that the way we have safe communities is by having communities trust in law enforcement. But the way that we trust in law enforcement is by having law enforcement abide to a system of checks and balances. And in my view, what this ordinance does is try and strengthen those checks and balances. It's not saying that the San Francisco government is better or worse than the federal government. It's not saying that the police department is better or worse than the FBI. But it's saying that in order for our civil liberties to be protected, we need to have a strong system of checks and balances so that the overreach, so that the overzealous, so that the fear-based racial profiling can be caught, hopefully by somebody who says no. One of the most troubling things that I've seen very recently with respect to this ordinance has been the documents that the ACLU has been able to procure that identifies, even as a few years ago, that the FBI had such a broad mandate to essentially do the assessment of the Chinese community because of a decades-long history of organized crime. Not only is this approach offensive and racist, it's ineffective. In a community where Chinese Americans are roughly a quarter of the population, it does us no good to be going on fishing expeditions as opposed to doing the hard work of understanding where crime may exist. I echo Reverend Fong's statement that we need this to pass the Board of Supervisors, and we need the mayor to sign it. I think with a little bit of due diligence and homework and understanding the history of people of color in this country, understanding the history of immigrants in this country, a reasonable person would not only support this, but sign this. Thank you.